Some tragedies are so shocking they leave us questioning everything. Imagine being kidnapped and stabbed 14 times by someone you thought you could trust.
2 Virginia Tech students behind bars, accused of kidnapping and murdering a 13-year-old girl.
Or being brutally assaulted and murdered by a neighbor hiding monstrous intentions.
Adrian Gonzalez, the teenager accused of killing 8-year-old Maddie Middleton 3 years ago, was back in court today.
Disappearing without a trace, only to be found years later, wedged inside a chimney. Your fate, a horrifying mystery.
We had most of the building down, and inside was the body of a man.
These are not just nightmares, they are real stories. Young lives stolen in the most terrifying ways imaginable. Brace yourself as we uncover the worst ways young people have died. Part 1. Nicole Lovell was just 13 years old when she was lured to her death by a predator, hiding behind a screen.
2 Virginia Tech students behind bars, accused of kidnapping and murdering a 13-year-old girl.
A survivor of childhood illness, she had fought for her life once before, but this time, there was no escaping the horror that awaited her. On January 27, 2016, Nicole climbed out of her bedroom window in Blacksburg, Virginia, believing she was meeting an online friend she had been communicating with for months through the Kik messaging app. Instead, she encountered David Eisenhower, an 18-year-old Virginia Tech student who had been grooming her. But he hadn't come alone. His accomplice, Natalie Keepers, had helped plan her murder, though she wasn't present for the act itself. Eisenhower took Nicole to a remote area where he brutally stabbed her 14 times. Her body was found 3 days later, discarded like trash in North Carolina, about 80 miles from her home. Eisenhower was sentenced to 50 years while Keepers received 40. Nicole had dreamed of growing up, of love, of a future. Instead, her trust was stolen, her innocence exploited, and her life cut tragically short. Prom night, a time for celebration, laughter, and memories. But for 17-year-old Jacqueline Gomez, it ended in tragedy. On May 17, 2014, she checked into a Houston hotel with her date, Eddie Herrera, after the MacArthur High School prom. What happened next turned a night of joy into a nightmare. By morning, Jacqueline was found dead. Investigators discovered alcohol and prescription painkillers in the room. Herrera admitted to choking Gomez during intimate activities. Even more shocking, Herrera's mother, Melissa Ann Martinez, had allegedly provided alcohol for the couple. The cause of Jacqueline's death was initially ruled undetermined. Herrera, convicted of aggravated assault, was sentenced to 25 years in prison. His mother faced charges for providing alcohol and controlled substances. Jacqueline had her whole life ahead of her. But one night, one person's reckless actions stole it all away. A crisp autumn night, a haunted hayride, and a thrill-seeking crowd. What was meant to be a night of fun turned into tragedy for 17-year-old Cassidy Charette.
17-year-old Cassidy Charette of Oakland was killed when a hayride toppled over in Mechanic Falls, injuring 22 others, including several of her classmates.
On October 11, 2014, she and her friends boarded the Gauntlet hayride at Harvest Hill Farm in Mechanic Falls, Maine. But what no one knew was that the Jeep pulling them had faulty brakes. As the wagon rolled down a hill, the driver lost control. The hayride veered off course, slamming into a tree with devastating force. Cassidy was thrown from the ride and suffered fatal injuries. Her boyfriend, Connor Garland, was seriously hurt, and dozens more were injured. Investigators later found that the farm had ignored safety concerns about the Jeep, which was hauling more than double its intended capacity. Cassidy's family turned their grief into action, creating the Shine on Cassidy Foundation to honor her love for kindness and service. They also pursued legal action, eventually settling a wrongful death lawsuit against the farm owner. Cassidy should have had a lifetime ahead, but that night, a preventable failure stole it away, leaving a community in mourning and sparking calls for stricter regulation of hayride attractions. Eight-year-old Madison Maddie Middleton was playing outside her Santa Cruz apartment complex on July 25, 2015, when she vanished. A bright, artistic little girl, she had no idea she was walking straight into danger. Her killer? Adrian Gonzalez, a 15-year-old neighbor she trusted. He lured Maddie into his family's apartment with the promise of ice cream, then brutally sexually assaulted, stabbed, and strangled her before hiding her body in a recycling bin.
A body believed to be that of 8-year-old Madison Middleton was found in a dumpster almost 24 hours after she disappeared near her home.
As police searched, Gonzalez shockingly joined the worried crowd, pretending to help. A day later, officers discovered Maddie's body, and Gonzalez was arrested. Because he was a minor at the time of the murder, legal battles over his sentencing dragged on for years. In 2021, due to changes in California law, Gonzalez was sentenced as a juvenile, facing release at age 25. But no sentence could undo the horror of what happened that day. Maddie's life was stolen in the most unimaginable way by someone she should have been able to trust. Joshua Maddox was 18 years old when he stepped out for a walk near his Colorado home on May 8, 2008, and was never seen alive again. For 7 years, his disappearance remained a mystery. Then, in August 2015, a horrifying discovery was made. His remains were found crammed inside the chimney of an abandoned cabin, less than a mile from his home.
The remains of a man who's been missing for 7 years have been discovered in a chimney in Colorado.
Investigators initially believed he had climbed in from the top, but of his body, head first, knees above his head, raised questions. Adding to the mystery, his clothes were found inside the cabin, neatly folded, and a heavy breakfast bar had been moved to block the fireplace. The coroner first ruled his death an accident, but later revised it to include the possibilities of accidental death, murder, or undetermined causes. Theories swirled. Was he trapped, trying to escape someone, or was something more sinister at play? Joshua's fate remains one of the most perplexing unsolved cases, a tragic end to a young life full of promise. The pain, the terror, the unthinkable cruelty, these young souls never got the future they deserved. Their stories serve as haunting reminders of how fragile life can be and how danger sometimes lurks closer than we ever realize. But what do you think? Do these cases highlight the failures of justice, or were these tragedies simply unavoidable? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to hear more chilling true stories, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because these victims may be gone, but their stories will never be forgotten.